Why would you want to let something go for less than it is quote unquote worth? Let me tell you why you might want to ask for less, or you might want to give something away for free.
You are listening to the Decluttering Club Podcast. I'm your host, Sarah Mueller, and it's my mission to equip women to declutter their homes, their time, and their lives so that they have energy for what matters most.
You are listening to the Decluttering Club Podcast, episode number 74. Today, we're going to talk about generosity and its role in decluttering. I want to tell you about the time that I sold some kayaks. I had a pair of kayaks and they were this amazing blue color. I don't know if you guys know, I'm like obsessed with this kind of an aqua blue color. It's the color of my kitchen cabinets. Well, it turns out it was also the color of this pair of kayaks that I had purchased a couple years ago. We used these kayaks and we did use them a little bit, but it turned out they just weren't quite right. They were a little bit flimsier than I wanted. And so I decided to sell them. Now, the reason that I sold them instead of just giving them away was because I felt like if I gave them away or if I offered them up for free, I was going to have all these people show up because they were still in great shape. I knew that they were going to be in high demand. And so I really didn't want to get them away because I really wanted to have someone who was highly motivated who would actually come and get them without just a lot of drama. If you're giving away something that people really want, then you may end up with a lot of drama and a lot of people who are mad at you because they didn't get it. So I didn't want that to happen. So I decided to sell them. I sold them for $100 for 2 kayaks. When I sold them to the guy who came to get them, I was like, listen, here's some of the downsides. Make sure you wear life vests, all that. I think I even gave him some life vests. So I made sure that he knew how to use them and what the downsides were. $100 for 2 kayaks. And I think I had probably spent, I think it was about $800 on them, and they were still quite new. I could have given them away. I probably could have charged like $300 or $400 for them. But I was like, I want to get them out the door. And also I don't want to deal with like this large number of people. So I'm just going to give them away or sell them for a really, really bargain price. Now, some of you, when you think about selling something or give it away, you're like, I don't want to miss out on any of that value. If you could get $300 easily, I know I could have gotten $300. If you could get $300, then why on earth would you sell it for $100? Why would you want to let something go for less than it is quote unquote worth? Let me tell you why you might want to ask for less, or you might want to give something away for free. I think that we put all kinds of pressure on our possessions to earn their keep, to be valuable. And the price that we can get for these items is how we decide, was it valuable or not? If you can get $300 and you get $300 like it was worth it, and you got your money back, or at least you got back the value of those kayaks, and we feel good about it. But we're putting all kinds of pressure on our things, and really, it's not on the things, it's on ourself to squeeze the last bit of juice out of those items. And then there's so much pressure. And then frequently we're unhappy because we think it's worth $300 and we only got $250. And it's like, oh man, I should have gotten $50 more, whatever the number is. I should have. Or we remember, how much did we spend on that item? Oh my gosh, I spent this much and I only got this much back. There's all of this drama over the dollars. On the other hand, when we let something go for less than we think it is worth, something really cool happens. Let's say you let it go. Let's say I would have let this go for free. Now, instead of having to earn that money back, I can focus in on the joy of giving. And I'm going to tell you, when you give something away, it completely changes the game of decluttering. Now we're not worried about dollars. Do you see how that works? This is why frequently, if somebody has something that's very important or meaningful or special to them, it is worth the extra time to do what we call find a good home for that item, because we're not selling it. We're not just dumping it. We are gifting it. It feels so good to give gifts. It puts us in a position of gratitude and abundance. If you have a clutter problem, you are not living in abundance. You are living in scarcity. You're like, I have to hold on. I don't have enough, but you cannot live in scarcity and give gifts. Like, these two are mutually exclusive. This is the coolest thing. So when you are in gift giving mode, When you find someone to give your item to, or maybe you give it to them for a steal, you're going to get a dopamine hit from that gift giving. It is the most wonderful thing ever. And the other cool thing is it blesses you because you're feeling good and you're not worried about, I coulda, woulda, shoulda got a couple extra bucks. Not worried about that. And then the person that you give to is also excited and feeling great about your gift. So I love this strategy for things that are important to you, that are special to you, that you're worried about getting the value out of that item. When we let go of needing to get a certain dollar amount, now it shifts us into abundance, into gratitude. That is an incredibly, incredibly powerful place to be. I encourage you to try it out. When we are giving freely with open hands, it just reminds us of how much we really do have. Anyone listening to this podcast, honestly, is in a state of abundance. If you live in a house with running water, electricity, if you have clothes on your back, if you have food to eat, you have more than most of the world's population. We are incredibly blessed, and I think we forget it. We forget that we do have more than we need. We have more than enough. Now, I'm not saying that there aren't hard times. I'm not saying that is the case, but I do want you to look around and say, I really don't need these extra things that I've been holding on to. If you're holding on to things out of scarcity or fear, it's never going to have a good result. Let me circle back to part 2 of the kayak story. So I was at my mom's cottage over the summer, and her cottage is on an island in the St. Clair River in Michigan. And it is so much fun because my kids are swimming, they're riding bikes, they're doing all this outdoor stuff. And it's a real kind of like a throwback to like prior times. It's such a fun place. And one of the things that we had been thinking about was kayaks. It'd be really, really great to have some kayaks there. Well, I had already sold my kayaks, and I really didn't feel great about putting those old kayaks in the river. It was just not a good option. And so we wanted something more sturdy. Well, turns out one of the neighbors had sold their house, and they texted my mom and they said, hey, we've got some kayaks. Do you want them? We're looking to sell these kayaks. And I was like, heck yeah, I'll buy them. And they were like, well, how much are you offering? And I said, how about $100? And the lady said, sure, no problem. And then she dropped them off like half an hour later. So we got 2 new kayaks, much sturdier, much more heavy duty than the ones that I got rid of. And they were exactly the same price as the ones that I had sold. So I really believe that there is some decluttering karma at work here. I really believe this is too much of a similarity to be a coincidence. I believe that like what goes around comes around. And the more that we are willing to give and let go with open hands and bless other people, the more that's going to come back to us. Now, I'm not saying you should be looking out for like you scratch my back, I'll scratch yours. Like that's transactional. That is not giving gifts. So that's not why we declutter. But we do declutter with the knowledge that it's all related. It's all intertwined, and you never know when something is going to come back around to you again because you had been generous and you had blessed somebody else. Isn't that a fun thing? Like, I don't know if it's true or not, but it feels like a great story to me. That's the way that I am going to see it. So the next time that you are stressing out about whether you should sell something or you should have gotten more for it, I want you to remind yourself it's okay to let go with open hands because I want to be in a state of abundance. And abundance is not a place. Abundance is not an amount of possessions or dollars in the bank. It really isn't. Abundance is a state of mind. Less stuff, more life. That is where we're going. And abundance is what I want you all to be experiencing and is available to you every single day. That's what I have for you this week. I'll see you next week. Everyone take care.
That's all we have for you today. If you enjoyed this podcast, please leave us a review. It would really help us to get the word out. And if you'd like to continue your decluttering journey with us, find us on Facebook, Instagram, or YouTube at Decluttering Club or on our website at thedeclutteringclub.com.